Hello, this is Ms. Schrader. Today we are going to be talking about Johannes Gutenberg and the printing press. My students, you will need a piece of paper and something to write with so you can take some notes. When you're done, you are writing between 7 and 10 sentences about what you have found interesting, educational, and important. All right, let's get started. We're going to start by looking at this picture of Johannes Gutenberg right here. This is him. This picture was done during his lifetime. Here we have an etching of Gutenberg's printing press. Johannes Gutenberg was born in Mainz, Germany. Mainz is spelled M-A-I-N-Z. He was a goldsmith, inventor, printer, and publisher. He appears to have developed the European printing press without any knowledge of the Chinese printing press. Remember, the Chinese already had one. Prior to Gutenberg's invention in 1455, books in Europe were written by hand. Books were rare, difficult to get, and expensive. Because of this, very few people owned books. It was a luxury, and very few people knew how to read. So you can see here a monk writing a book or copying out a book, which is the way that it was done before the printing press. Monks would often have the job of copying out whatever books were being made. Normally, these books were really beautiful pieces of art, lots of gold lettering, very artistic. But once again, as a result, books are very expensive. Of course, they're handwritten, so they have to be, and very, very rare. If you had a collection of 12 books, you were considered to be a very literate person. Now here you can get an idea of how the printing press would have worked. They would have put the letters into position. You can see somebody doing that at the back. Then they would have put ink on the letters. That's the person on the right. Then they would have put the paper on top. They would have pressed it down very tightly, and then they would have been hanging the pages up like papers on a clothesline. To make these things. It used movable type using metal letters and symbols. Thousands of pages could be printed in a day as compared to 1 or 2 pages that could be printed in a day when being written by hand. Now here you can see a bunch of the tiles, the metal tiles that would have been used to be put together to make a page. Keep in mind, think about how many times the letter E, one of the most popular letters that is used on a page. So you can't just have one, you've got to have lots of them. You also have to have periods and question marks and things like that. And frequently what they would do is they would actually make an entire page completely out of metal, and then they could constantly just print it over and over and over again, as many times as they needed. Gutenberg was concerned that people would think that his printing press was a product of the devil. If people believed that, he would be arrested and put to death. So to assure people that the printing press wasn't from Satan, his first printed project was the Bible. You can see one of the copies of the Bible here, the Gutenberg Bible. The Gutenberg Bible was printed in Latin and was both the Old and New Testament. About 160 to 185 copies were printed. About 49 still exist in museums all around the world, including one at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Now this, of course, is a modern picture that goes with a book, but I really love this picture because it shows you all the different parts here. On the left, you have a man actually carving the little tiles. In the middle, you have a man using the printing press. On the right, you have someone putting the tiles together to make the pages. And in the back, you have the pages actually hanging up, drying, before they can be put together to make a book. But the most amazing thing that happens as a result of Gutenberg's printing press isn't his Bible, which is amazing, but it's the things that come afterwards. For instance, we have another Bible here. This is the Bible that was written by Martin Luther. So this is the one where he translates it into the native language, German, of the people. That way, more people can read it. And because lots of copies of this could be printed, more people were reading the Bible. And then little pamphlets like the one you're looking at right now could be printed out, 200 of them for pennies, and then you could either give them away or you could sell them, telling people things like, should you trust what the Catholic Church is telling you? Um, is the king really appointed by God? Lots of different very revolutionary ideas, as well as a lot of very common things like, oh, I've written a new song. Would you like to buy it? Here it is, printed on a piece of paper. And so we get a huge increase in the number of people who can read because there is so much more material available to them that they can read. As a result of the development of Gutenberg's printing press, more books became available for more people. Also, books became cheaper to make. More people began to learn to read and to discuss issues of the day. In time, people began to demand that Bibles be printed in the language of the people of the country instead of in Latin. This contributed to the movement known as the Reformation, wherein large numbers of people were questioning the powers of the Catholic Church. The picture you're currently looking at is a modern rendition of Gutenberg's printing press. The Gutenberg printing press revolutionized writing and printing throughout the world. Older books had to be rewritten in print or they were forgotten about. This is similar to the writing revolution caused by the development of the internet. Things that aren't on the internet, people don't want to bother to look for. It is possible that eventually we will reach a point where if it's not on the internet, you won't be able to find it. Today you can find Gutenberg and his printing press on postage stamps. You can find him on Google Memes. In the year 2000, Time magazine made a list of the 100 most influential people of the millennium. That's from the years 1000 to 2000 CE. And Johannes Gutenberg was named the most influential person of the millennium. My students, you are giving me between 7 and 10 sentences about what you found interesting, educational, and important concerning Johannes Gutenberg and his printing press. And anybody else watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.